Hey guys, this is Tauna. Today we're doing the upgrade guide for the Family Matters. Again, we've stuck to a $50 budget here. And make sure you subscribe, share the video around, all that kind of stuff to get the video and the channel growing would be amazing. Alright, so the base Precon thoughts, there is lots of interesting ETB effects on them, but a lot of them are on high-costed creatures, which isn't great when we've got this offspring too, because we need to then pay an additional 2 to be able to create the extra offspring and take advantage of the fact that we're going to have 2 of these ETB. A lot of the token generators that could generate 1/1s as well. There's new cards that are very nice for the game plan. It almost feels like better with the commander unupgrade, like with the Precon unupgraded, the better commander is Arthur, which is the secondary commander. It's got a good land base and it's got nice protection and recursion for our little dudes as well. So there's a lot of really great stuff in this deck, but overall the kind of character base kind of leaves it down a little bit, like the creature base. So I wanted to add in cheaper and better ETBs, create combos with multiple ways to create more tokens as well, add a few more ways to buff up our tokens, and then add a lot more burn for creature ETBs as well. Alright, so the additions here, we've got Peregrine Drake and Shrieking Drake. Both of these are going to enable us to be able to play more stuff. Whether it's Peregrine Drake, if you bring, that in, plus you offspring it, that's going to untap 10 lands, and boom, now you've got essentially a free turn. We've got Shrieking Drake here, which returns something you control to your hand, so you can get an additional kind of ETB from that. You bring it in, you return something back, and then you bring it back out, or maybe it's something that you didn't have enough offspring cost for at the time, so you can bring it back and then pay an additional 2. There's lots of great ways to make use of Shrieking Drake here. You don't even have to offspring it if you don't need to, but offspring it is going to be useful if you've got extra things out. We've got Ultramarine Honor Guard here. So a few different creatures here to just kind of buff up stuff. So this one here gives all our other creatures +1/+1. But if we squat it up, then we can just kind of spread it out and bring in a whole bunch of them and then give everything, +3/+3. Because the interesting thing here is that Zinnia just relies on base power 1. This doesn't change the base power. It just buffs it up. We've got Volatile Storm Drake here. So it's going to enable us to be able to steal 2 things if you bring it in with offspring cost. As long as you steal things that are less than 4 cost, like less than 4 CMC, then you can just pay this to be able to keep it. If you don't, it's a great way to be able to remove something as well. They get a Drake, but you get rid of, their commander or something. Great use of it. We've got Cartographer's Hawk here for a decent, reliable, continuous ramp source. If you're versing someone, that's green, we're in, Jesco, we don't have as much ramp as other people, but this enables us to be able to ramp and be able to, that's now our land. Legion Warboss, a great use of this is to, you're going to have potentially 2 of them out, and then each of those is going to make a 1/1 red goblin when you start combat. You've also got the Mentor as well, so you get to buff things up with it. Lots of great uses for it. Loyal Apprentice, just a 1/1 every single turn, as long as you've got your commander out. So you get a lot of these out, especially if you've got, again, offspring, so you've got 2 of them. Alltech Matter Weaver, very similar, create a gnome, or the second part here, create a token that's a copy of target artifact token you control. So if you've managed to, copy a token with like an artifact token because you've got an artifact creature or something, then you can potentially make some really nice tokens with that. Kaith here is going to give all of our non-token creatures Fabricate, which means each time they come in, either they come in with a +1/+1 counter, or they're going to come in with a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature. So we just get more 1/1s from that. So then you get, an ETB now becomes, it comes in, and then its offspring comes in because you pay 2, and then its servo comes in, and, lots of great uses of it. But it's also got pay 2, choose 1, populate, and proliferate. Or populate or proliferate. So you can populate some of your crazy, copied ETB, copied creatures and stuff, your offspring, populate them out. Lots of great uses for that. Nesting Dovehawk is in here because, again, you know, populate is crazy great in this deck, as well as the second part that's going to make it grow so much. Each time you populate, or, you know, Kaith comes in, you're going to create a lot of 1/1s onto the Nesting Dovehawk. It can become a big threat pretty quickly. We've got Gold Knight Commander here. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+1. So let's say you've got 2 Gold Knights out because you've offspringed it, and then 2 creatures come in because its original creature plus the offspring comes in. That's now +4/+4 to each of your creatures, each turn potentially. Impact Tremors to just give us more burn every time a creature comes in. Same with Molten Gatekeeper, which is basically just it's basically just Impact Tremors, but on a creature. But then, you know, it's also got the fact that we can offspring it. Mentor of the Meek gives us card draw because, you know, a lot of this is going to be power 2 or less unless things have buffed it up. So we get to get card draw a lot. Tywhacken is going to go alongside all of our burn stuff. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat, this part here, pay X, and then if a source you control will deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much plus X. So we could potentially turn stuff like War Leader's Call, Impact Tremors, Molten Gatekeeper, those kinds of things into huge burn spells. And speaking of War Leader's Call, I added that in here because 1, it's going to buff up all our 1/1s, and 2, it's Impact Tremors on this as well. And then finally, we've got Witty Roastmaster as well to do another kind of impact tremory kind of thing. We've got Delny here and Panharmonicon. Now, I don't know if you guys realize, but Offspring is actually a triggered ability. If we go back here to see Zinnia, Offspring is a triggered ability. You pay 2, and then if you do, when that creature enters, make a 1/1 copy of it. Which means that both of these two will clone it. We'll create 2 1/1 copies with Panharmonicon. If it was a creature with 2 or less, which we've got a fair few of, it then will create 3 if Delny's on the board as well. So we've got, you know, the original creature coming out, then 3 1/1 copies of it. You can see how this could get really bonkers, especially because then all of those will have all of their abilities trigger for, will trigger 3 times for each of the copies. Its original copy, potentially Delny, and then Panharmonicon, which means you then get, you know, 12 ETBs, is it? 12 ETBs, because each one of them triggers 3 times. You've got 4 of them. Yeah, it can get out of control really quickly. We've got Neali to give us an alternate kind of attack route, just attack with our tokens, give them more double strike, as well as give us some impulse draw. Roar of Resistance to give all those creature tokens haste. Rootborn Defenses just for a potential, like, keep us safe, as well as the populate on it makes it worth it, as well as it being a very cheap card. Welcoming Vampire gives us card draw whenever a 2 or less power creature enters. We've got Ashnods here. The great thing about Ashnods is that you can sack your Offspring, which sounds like an awful sentence out of context, but you can use Ashnods to sack the Offspring, or, you know, whatever's kind of come in, to be able to get mana, to be able to then conveniently, it is the exact same as a cost for an Offspring cost. So you can use this to sack Offspring that you don't need anymore, and then be able to pay the Offspring cost for something that's more important. Hour of Reckoning, a very nice board wipe. It's going to destroy all non-token creatures. We've got a lot of token creatures in here. If you need to kind of wipe out everyone else and then also keep all your babies up, then that's a great way to protect them. So for the cuts here, these are the ones that I've cut. I'm not going to go too much in depth into the ones that I cut with this deck. You can tell that mostly of them were just kind of cards that I didn't either feel fit or fit enough, like Cut a Deal or Chart a Course. We also cut, you know, a couple of the different board wipes because I added in a better board wipe. Helm of the Host, I don't think really suited the deck. It could go alongside some of the populate stuff in here, but I just don't think that there was enough kind of good aiming for it. Some of the weaker kind of ETBs as well that I've cut. I can get why they added Ornithopter of Paradise in here to kind of give us an alternative like mana dork that you can then pay to create 2 mana dorks, but I just think it's too susceptible for removal. Tetsuku here, I removed because of the fact that we're going to have a lot of ways to buff up our things. So if we relying on things to stay below a certain power, then Tetsuko is not going to really work for that, unfortunately. So this is just a great way for us to be able to kind of move away from some of the weaker ETBs and the weaker kind of cards overall, or the more expensive ETBs. Like Angel of the Ruins is very expensive. You then need to be able to get the most value from it. You then need to pay, you know, an additional 2 on top of that. So you're spending 9 for Angel of the Ruins to be able to get a 2/2 copy, like a 1/1 copy out of it for it as well. I just felt it wasn't strong enough. So some more expensive upgrades here. Anything that's white to do with tokens, they are all outside of the price range I could potentially kind of slot into here. Ocelot Pride's probably the best option. It's crazy. I don't know how this card got printed. It is bonkers. You get to, for each token you control that enter this battlefield this turn, create a token that's a copy of it once you have Ascend. Anointed Procession, Mondrak, Ojatark, Cyclonic Rift I think is great in this deck to remove everyone else's creatures. It's great in most decks, but I think in this deck it definitely kind of goes really well because of the fact that we're going to have a lot of 1/1s that, you know, are potentially buffed up a little bit, but getting them to be able to land damage is going to be really important. So making sure you get rid of those is going to be good. Imperial Recruiter just allow us to tutor something up, and then we can potentially double it as well. Displace a kitten to get those ETBs in additional time. Ragavan or Dockside, or, you know, any of those insanely great kind of creatures either to have 2 of, or to be able to just kind of make use of their ETBs or damage and stuff. Ragavan's probably the lesser one here. Dockside's definitely better. I don't know why I didn't put Dockside on there. Perforce gives us better burn than what we've got here. Ledger Shredder, just a really great kind of card for us to be able to copy. We'd then have, you know, 4 of them out, which means you get a lot of card draw from it, a lot of buffs up on our Ledger Shredders. And that's it for today, guys. I'd love to hear from you guys as to what you think. I hope you guys had a wonderful day, and goodbye.